Some 11 or 12 years ago, on a weekend evening, I was driving a first-gen Hyundai i10 through the city. I stopped at the lights next to a relatively new at the time Peugeot 207. Behind the wheel was a pretty girl. Our eyes met, and for a moment a smile lingered on her face. And then her brain registered the car I was in, and the smile disappeared. True story, bro. And I was really driving the first gen i10, but that reaction would be true for any Hyundai model of that era. The Hyundai i10 was supposed to fulfill its basic task, be a cheap city runabout, but it has as much style as I do. This is where you can write me a spiteful comment below. Go ahead, but then continue watching. Over the years, Hyundai cars became more visually appealing, and today, despite the basic brief being the same, the third generation i10 is like the mature Miley Cyrus. I'm not sure if I used the right analogy here, because the i10 did not have a racy photoshoot with Terry Richardson, but generally speaking I'm referring to a transformation from a boring shopping cart into something I wouldn't be ashamed to drive in public. Before I tell you about the i10's functionality, let's take a minute to appreciate what changed on the outside. The size remained almost unchanged versus the second generation. The third gen i10 is 2 cm longer and now has 367 cm. It's also 2 cm wider, that's 168, and 2 cm lower, 148. However, the wheelbase is now 4 cm longer and comes in at almost 243 cm, and that finds reflection in passenger space. If not for the wheelbase, one could say this is an advanced facelift to make the i10 look more hip. The headlights now go further back along the fenders, the day running lights are round on the grille, and the grille is now clearly split into two parts with a body-colored element. And there are some lines on the bonnet as well. From the front, the i10 looks like something that could have come out from the Ford showroom. From the side, a line running across the door handles disappeared, mostly. It now starts much earlier on the front fender, disappears on the front doors and returns in the middle of the rear doors. The tail lamps have a slightly different shape now. There is a new line running across the tailgate, and the back window frame doesn't eat as far into the C-pillar. Let's look inside the boot, which still has 252 liters volume, and look, it opens from down here. 252 liters is one more than in the Volkswagen Up, and like in the Volkswagen Up, you now get a double floor, so when you fold the back seats you get a flat loading area. Ford Fiesta can't do that. The floor can also be dropped. The lower part of the boot remains exposed, and there is a hole for a spare wheel, which may be standard or an option in some markets. In Poland, it's not even an option. There is only a tire repair kit, but you get some extra space to stash your stinky jogging shoes. There are 2 shopping bag hooks and 2 anchor points for an elastic net, which you can use to store a jacket or some smaller items. The parcel shelf doesn't go up with the tailgate, that's not a problem, and it remains open until you shut it. Something I keep forgetting, and I have to return and close it, otherwise I can't see much in the rearview mirror. Back doors open quite wide, so it's going to be easy to herd your kids inside, but there is also a surprising amount of legroom and headroom in the back, so you could easily transport 2 adults here. That's thanks to the extra 4 cm wheelbase. There is space for small bottles in the door bins, there is no armrest and no charging ports. There is something I need to address here. The plastics used in some Hyundai cars have an unpleasant smell. It's like this chemical odor, and after an hour of driving I have an itchy, scratchy, irritated throat. The last time I experienced something like that was in a Chinese smart knockoff car. The i10 interior stinks even when it's cold in the winter. Maybe it'll air out in a few weeks. Oh, and plastics are hard. In the front, we get the new dashboard, new instrument cluster, and a new steering wheel. And before you start complaining about the tablet-like display, it's actually integrated with the instrument cluster shade, so it's like a one piece. Nicely integrated, eh? This is the top trim style in Germany or premium in Poland. Trim levels and options may differ from market to market, so I won't go into details which trim gets what. The important bit is that the sat-nav is an option which, if possible, you can skip, because as soon as you get the 8-inch display, you also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This test car also comes with a backup camera, which in Germany comes as part of a €1,250 option pack along with sat-nav. In Poland we're lucky because the sat-nav alone is an option and it costs far less. The interior is practical. There are cup holders, usable door pockets, space to place some smaller items next to the gear lever, a small shelf above the glove box, and the glove box gets LED lighting. Headrests can be adjusted not only up and down but also front and back. But instead I would like lumbar support adjustment, or at least a bit stiffer backrests, because these seats are too soft and I feel my back is falling into them. There is no reach adjustment for the steering wheel, just rake adjustment. And on higher trims you get this absolutely useless armrest. Why is it absolutely useless? Because it doesn't have height adjustment, so you can use it like that. Not exactly brilliant, is it? Now, on higher trims you also get heated seats, heated steering wheel, that's brilliant, and an induction charger. And also, on top of the top, at least in Germany, if you pay €300 for it, you get keyless access and keyless ignition. I'm recording this in early 2020. For now, there are only two engines to choose from: a 3-cylinder 1-liter normally aspirated engine producing 67 horsepower and a 4-cylinder 1.2-liter normally aspirated engine producing 84 horsepower. In mid-2020, Hyundai will launch a sporty N-line i10 with a 3-cylinder 1-liter turbo engine producing 100 horsepower. The currently available petrol engines, well, there are only petrol engines, can be mated to a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed automated transmission. I experienced the latter only for a few minutes as a passenger in the back seat. It's a bit jerky. You have to learn to predict the gear change and ease off the gas pedal for a second. As soon as I picked up this car from Hyundai, I went on my test route, which includes several dozen kilometers on the motorway. The i10 is a city car, so I don't mind it getting loud inside above 100 kilometers per hour. That's just an observation. At a constant speed of 120 kilometers per hour with the cruise control on, I got about 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Later on, as I got off the motorway, I managed to get about 5.5 liters on the back roads. The best result was 5.2, but realistically you'll be getting between 5.5 and 6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is on par with the WLTP results. Acceleration is purely theoretical, more than 12.5 seconds from 0 to 100 km per hour with the manual shifter, and with the automated manual, plan to reach 100 km per hour sometime next week. Again, this is a city car and its main job is to be agile in city traffic. To keep you going in traffic, there is a little reminder that the car in front started moving, so it may be forbidden to use your mobile phone while sitting behind the wheel, but Hyundai rightly assumes that at the lights you're going to be checking up on your favorite lactofluencer on Instagram. Visibility is fine. In the previous generation, I noticed the falling roofline obstructed visibility in the rearview mirror, but in this one it doesn't seem to be an issue. The gears and the lever throw are short. I did have some problems shifting from third into fourth because I either got second or reverse. Maybe it's just a matter of getting used to. When I picked the car up, it was still light outside, but after the first few dozen kilometers, it started getting darker and the instrument cluster was too bright. I didn't find brightness adjustment settings, but the instrument cluster eventually dimmed automatically. Even in a small car like this, you get automatic high beam lights. Of course, there is no active matrix LED or anything of that sort. Lower trim gets halogen headlights, while the top trim gets xenon headlights, but not very bright at all. Driving in the dark, I was convinced they are halogens. But this is a city car, so I don't expect the brightest headlights out there. Hyundai boasts it comes with numerous safety systems as standard. To be honest, it's not like there is much of a choice, so communicating them as standard is a bit like advertising a cheeseburger having cheese as standard. Lane departure warning is, as usual, a bit too loud and too sensitive, but the active lane assist works rather well and it doesn't annoy the driver. I like that. But the greatest surprise is the suspension. This bit of cobblestone street is actually a rally stage. I drove way too fast on uneven surface and you know what? The suspension doesn't make any suspicious noises and the car doesn't bounce around. Hyundai did a really good job with the suspension setup. This doesn't mean the i10 corners like it's on rails regardless of the speed. Fast corners, even on good tarmac, are not its forte. But this is a city car and Hyundai had to leave something for the N line as well. I hope it's going to be much better than the Picanto GT line I drove a couple of years ago. Prices of the Hyundai i10 start at just €11,000, with the 67 horsepower 3-cylinder engine mated to a 5-speed manual. Top trim starts at €16,700. In Germany, this test car with options would cost a ridiculous €20,350. Come to Poland and buy this car $4,000 cheaper. The third generation Hyundai i10 is a cool city car, which you can easily transport adults in, not just kids, especially since you're not going to fit a stroller in the boot. Probably. The suspension is astonishingly good, the modern looks and the tech are a plus. I don't like the seats and the stinky plastics. And how do you like the new Hyundai i10? Are you looking to buy a city car? Which one? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you're into sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for good measure as well. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.